in a lot of our lives, like we get caught up in these like spiritual winning streaks. Like, and I'm like that, it's like, man, how many days have I read my Bible in a row? Like, and I'm feeling really good if I've gone X amount of days without sinning or making that mistake that I usually fall into. And it's like, then when the winning streak ends, which it inevitably does, right? It's like we all fall short, we all make mistakes. Then you're just
the chasm,
rock bottom,
chasm you fall
and
into.
The devil's beating you up. And so I got a story from a guy named Josh who said, man, I'm not going to lie. I've been to prison, spent 10 years there. I made some really bad choices. I came from a bad life, but I made some bad choices. But while I was in prison, I got saved. And I made a commitment that when I got out of prison, I was going to change my life. He said he got out and nobody would give him a chance.
Yep.
Right? Who wants to hire an ex-convict? So here he is. Can't get a job. He said, finally, there was a Christian couple who ran a pizza restaurant, and they said, we'll take a chance on you. Gave him a part-time job making pizzas in the back. He said, I just wanted to let you know that that's all I needed was that chance. And today, I'm the general manager of that pizza restaurant.
That's awesome.
And to me, it was like, you know what? For some people, day one looks like a pizza.
Yeah.
That's why I wrote that song, was the thought of like going, you know what? When we make the commitment to change, when we make the commitment to put God first in our life, no matter where we are, whether we're in jail, whether we're in the worst situation in life, it's day one of the rest of our lives. And
day one won't always look like day 100, know? And sometimes it is that small little blessing that starts you on that path. We're talking to Matthew West. It's interesting you bring that up because this is a tough one for me because my brother's actually in prison.
Oh, wow.
And he's been there now a little over a year.
Wow.
And it was really like a bad day when he went in. It killed me, and but the crazy thing of it is to see what God has done for him. And I mean, I grew up with this guy, and stuff. And so when he calls me and starts talking about God and his forgiveness and his goodness, and I'm praying for you and your family, at first there was obviously that little like, okay, is this a jailhouse conversion?
Yeah.
Is this real? And then you see more and more through his life the difference God has made. He's got a lot more day ones, unfortunately, until he's out. But change is possible.
No doubt.
So hearing that story is cool because I know he's going to have a hard road when he gets out trying to get back into life. Yeah,
how do you do that? And here's the thing too, is the stories that I read from people, it resonates with me because what I find is for so many people, the hardest person to forgive in their life is the one they see when they look in the mirror.
Yeah.
It's like we sing about God's forgiveness, but we don't let ourselves off the hook. And it's funny we're talking about this because I was just visiting a prison in the state of Florida, and with me was Renee, the woman who inspired that song Forgiveness, and Eric, the drunk driver who took the life of her daughter, who served 11 years in prison. And the three of us visited two prisons, and I stood up and sang. And I want to tell you something. I saw joy, Wally, inside the walls of a prison that I did not expect to see in a million years.
That's
On
cool.
top of that, here's the crazy thing. They're listening to Christian radio inside the walls of those prisons, and they're singing every word to "Hello, my name is."
Yeah.
And I was blown away. But I was crying the entire time there. And one by one, inmates would come up and talk to me, and they're crying, and they're like, "Just pray for me, pray for me." And man, that's what we hold on to, is the verse in Lamentations 3, verses 22 and 23 reminds us that, if God had a day planner for each one of our lives, it's every day would have the same number on it, day one, because it says his mercy is new every morning. It doesn't matter what kind of sentence the judges have placed on us. No, it doesn't matter what kind of sentence the devil's tried to make us believe that we need to live under the rest of our lives. I had a woman come up to me and she said, "I'm a lifer." And we have a group of lifers that we call ourselves the God Squad because we found hope in God. We're never getting out of here. And they said, "Your song Strong Enough is the song that we have as our anthem."
That's cool.
And you know what I walked away thinking? We are all condemned as lifers if the devil has anything to say about our lives. And just the reminder that even inside the walls of that prison, that woman knows that she's got a life sentence, but she's as free as anybody because of what God has already done by sending his son Jesus on a cross. And the fact that she is holding on to that hope made me walk out of that prison knowing, man, I'm a free man, and sometimes I live like I'm in prison.